Oop, oop, Graham.
Oh man, I hurt myself.
It's been a while since we've done this.
That's what a pandemic monkey
We've
sounds like.
forgotten what it is.
Who knows what a monkey sounds like after being locked down for months and months.
Pox-filled, apparently, which is
Yeah, that's true.
foreshadowing of some of the topics of today. Welcome back to the latest episode of Science Monkey. We've been on extended hiatus for many months. But we were lured back.
Has it been 8 months?
It's been at least.
I thought it was more like a year. Okay.
Yeah, it's been at least 8 months. And
our fan will tell us.
I think he might have died. We do have a couple of episodes in the can from a couple of years ago. I haven't published yet. Maybe I'll bring them out as Science Monkey, the lost episodes. So stay tuned out there. The lost episodes will be available to you very, very soon. So what lured us back?
Some people are going to want them to remain lost, I think. If I remember the quality of the episodes, I think there's a reason they weren't released. But anyway.
I was about to say what lured us back was the new pandemic threat of monkeypox, which we'll talk about in a bit. But first off, I'm here with Professor Graham Sanders of the University of Toronto, where he is a specialist in medieval Chinese poetry. So relevant to our conversations here.
By my background here, right? So, and I'm here. Well, we're not really here with each other, but we're online. I'm online here with Raywat, a professor and epidemiologist at the University of Ottawa, who needs no introduction at this point. After years,
and yet I got one. Look at that. So I was very excited when Graham dialed in and showed me his magical Chinese background. I thought, wow, he's upped his video game. Until I realized it's virtual.
It's virtual, yeah.
So he's about to reveal to us
the
genuine environment.
I should have put something horrible.
And by the way, for our audio listeners, we are recording this on video as well. So we're making reference to his video background. And I'm sorry you can't see it, but there is the reality of where he is.
Yeah, this is where I actually live. Yeah.
Which looks
not in a Chinese landscape painting from the Ming Dynasty. So.
It looks fake still.
Yeah.
So we'll make this a very short episode, but I want to talk a little bit about the current public health news, which is all about the pox de monkey. And I've been doing a lot of media on this topic, and people are asking the same questions over and over. And I'm wondering if Graham would ask me the same questions if he could. If he were interviewing an epidemiologist about monkeypox, what are the questions on the tip of his Chinese-speaking tongue?
Okay. I actually want to go to a very basic question, which is, I think monkeys are getting a bad rap here. So why is it called monkeypox?
I think you know the answer to this, but thank you for asking anyway. The disease was first identified in Copenhagen, of all places.
Which is known for rampant
monkeys.
Yeah, monkeys are everywhere. You can't even see the Little Mermaid anymore. It's just covered in monkeys.
They went for the Danishes. They stayed for the mermaids. In 58, a colony of captive monkeys this disease was identified in, so it's called monkeypox. And it's a misnomer because...
Did you say 1558?
No, 1958.
Oh, okay. This is where
maybe I said
that's where it first reached Europe?
This is where it's first identified.
Okay.
In captive lab monkeys. So it wasn't in the population, just in the laboratory. And,
wait. How did they get the pox if they were captive lab monkeys?
I make no aspersions on the personal lives of Danish technicians.
Right. Okay.
What they're doing. They probably got infected before they
arrived at the lab. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Interesting question, though.
We've just started a whole conspiracy theory.
Anyway, so it's a misnomer because the disease is actually most prevalent. We think its natural reservoir is rodents in Central and West Africa. So not monkeys per se.
Right.
But that's who's blamed for this. It's always the monkey taking the fall.
When in doubt, blame the rats. Yeah. Or the fleas on the rats.
Yeah. And it's there are lots of other animal poxes. It's part of the orthopox family that includes camel pox and cowpox, and I forgot other kinds of poxes.
You're just making stuff up now.
I could be.
Opossum pox.
Ocelot pox.
Koala pox.
Platypus pox, which is
porcupine pox.
But not chicken pox though. It's a distant relative of chicken pox. It's closer to cowpox and
pox. What's that one? Pangolin Pentagon,
Pangolin.
pangolin pox. That's right.
Pangolin
Thank you.
pox.
Yeah. Actually, the pangolin, I think, was disease carrying for some other
Yeah,
epidemic.
COVID.
COVID. Yeah, it was COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
The
okay.
pangolin pox is also a good name for Harry Potter character.
Yeah. All right. So my next question, now that we've settled that really monkeys don't
Bad
deserve
rap,
a rap,
man.
bad rap for monkeys. What was the next question? Well, I'll cut straight to the chase. How afraid should we be?
Yeah.
From my point of view, it doesn't seem highly contagious because it's not airborne. You need close contact with the person who has it. And this is a question I want answered. Does the person have to actually have active pox or pustules or whatever you call them in order to get it, or will they be contagious before anything's showing on their skin?
Right. All very good questions. I will answer them to the best of my knowledge with the caveat that I am not a monkeypox expert. I have some basic grounding in monkeypox fundamentals.
Oh, I'm shutting this off right now.
The MPFs. So the first question was, how contagious is it? How worried you should be. You personally, probably more than the average person because of your close proximity to monkeys and your tendency to be untoward with various animal species. But most people—
there are going to be a lot of disappointed monkeys out there. But anyway.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 2 of concern.
That sounds very precise.
Because I've been asked this question so many times. So many times.
What does 1 mean? What does 10 mean on that scale?
And you're assuming it's a linear scale. It might be logarithmic.
Yeah.
On a linear scale,
Right.
I'll give it a 2. Meaning it's not nothing, but we have the tools to contain it, and we know the tools work because there was an outbreak in 2003 in the USA, which is the first known case of monkeypox making it into the human wild outside of Africa. And that was easily contained in the sense that 70 people got it, all of whom survived, and it did not run out of control in the American population. And by the way, they all got it from contact with exported Ghanaian animals, not from other people.
Really?
So it did not
exported Ghanaian animals. So
yes,
in the US.
In the US, that's right.
So what does that mean? What kind of animals and what?
I think it was some kind of prairie dog.
Okay, I didn't know there was like a big market for Ghanaian prairie dogs.
I hear they're delicious. Yeah, so you get the disease from animal bites, animal scratches, contact with the fluids of infected mammals that include people and animals. That's why currently the current rash, pun intended, of human cases might have been due in large part to sexual contact. You get it from someone breathing on your face from the large droplets that we think constituted
speaking moistly.
Speaking moistly, there's a fair amount of transmission for COVID as well. So those droplets that fall to the ground within 1 or 2 meters. That's why you shouldn't look longingly into the eyes of a monkeypox infected person and inhale their quintessence with any great vigor.
Say don't spray.
Say don't spray. And also
the news, not the weather.
Touching common surfaces. So sharing bed sheets with an infected person is not a good idea, which is probably why the sexual contact was such an important part.
Which of course that's become how it's portrayed in the news, is it's a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah.
And that's, I would assume, one vector of many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because Ebola and Zika have both been found in semen. And we don't think about Ebola and Zika as sexual diseases. So we shouldn't think about this as a sexual disease either. So we just want to stigmatize a certain population for engaging in the noogie.
Right.
Right. So get back to your question. Should you be worried? If you're not engaging in the noogie with monkeys, you probably should not be worried.
I'm not eating Ghanaian prairie dogs either.
There it is. So let public health do its job. Public health should be concerned and vigilant. You and I, not so much yet. Yet. Now you mentioned,
you're scaring me.
Is it airborne? There is at least one paper suggesting there is an airborne component to its transmission. So many respiratory viruses probably have some degree of aerosol transmission, so it's not surprising. But the fact that it's spreading on airplanes, or might be spreading on airplanes, suggests that it's probably more aerosolized than we thought.
Right.
Yeah. Good times. So the other question.
The other part was, when is it contagious?
Yeah.
Is it something that can spread when they don't even have symptoms yet, type of thing?
That was the big concern for COVID, right? We think that many, if not most, cases of transmission, at least early in the pandemic, were stealth transmission of people transmitting before they knew they're infected. That does not seem to be the case for poxes.
Right.
So once you start showing symptoms is when you're probably contagious. Symptoms include the fever, the coughing, the sore throat, and then the rash. So throughout that ordeal, when you're symptomatic, that's when you're contagious.
pre-rash, but post other symptoms, you could be contagious. So you might think I just have a flu or something, although most people probably think they would have COVID when they have those symptoms. Okay.
I think the rule of thumb is if you got a fever and coughing, just don't go near people.
It's like, good news, honey, I don't have COVID. Bad news, it's monkeypox. And I guess which leads me to the last question is, how lethal is it?
Okay, excellent question. There are two strains or two clades of monkeypox. One is the Congolese clade and the other is the West African clade. The Congolese,
what is clade?
Clade is a collection of similar phenotypes or genotypes.
Wait, is that an acronym or is that just a term?
No, it's a real word. C-L-A-D.
Clade. Okay.
So,
like,
I mean, it's
like
not
a
quite
gaggle
variant.
of geese or a parliament of owls. There's a clade of disease.
Clade of epidemiologists. No, I mean, it's a technical genetic term, but I mean, I'm trying to avoid saying strain or variant. It's not quite a strain or variant. We can say version, two versions. So the Congolese version is more lethal than the West African version. It's got the Congolese has a CFR, which is case fatality ratio of about 10%, meaning 10% of people that we know catch it, die of it.
That's higher than I thought, actually.
Oh yes, remember, case fatality rate has some nuances, which I'll talk about in a second if you want.
Okay.
The West African version has a case fatality ratio of between 1 and 4%, much lower. And that's the version we see spreading around the world, the less lethal version.
Yeah, I guess that would spread more easily because people are surviving to spread it, right?
Oh, possibly. But it's,
So how does that compare to COVID CFRs?
Okay, this is where we get into the epidemiological nitty gritty here.
I knew we had you here for a reason.
CFR versus IFR. So CFR, case fatality ratio, the fraction of known cases that are known to die. But what are the known cases? The ones that we know about, the ones that present themselves for testing. And the known deaths are the ones that we know who died.
Right.
With COVID and the flu and diseases that run rampant through the population often go untested. People get it all the time and don't know about it. They die of it and don't know about it.
Yeah.
So there's an enormous denominator that is unknown. So, so we call the true fraction of all cases, known and unknown, that die is the IFR, or infection fatality rate. The fraction of known cases that are known to die is the CFR, the case fatality ratio. The case fatality ratio is always larger than the IFR.
Is the IFR just inferred from available data?
You're such a smart man.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't know what you don't know, so it's modeled.
Right, okay.
And so there's a raging debate over what is the true IFR of a disease like COVID. Most people accept that it's probably between 0.7 and 1.
Right.
So 1% is commonly cited.
So CFR would lead you to believe that it's actually more lethal than it really is, because you're not capturing all the people that got it and you don't know about it. Right?
During the height of the pandemic in Canada, the COVID CFR was like 13%.
Right. Okay.
And that's a function, frankly, of who gets it. Like the sickest, the oldest, the frailest are the ones presenting themselves to the hospital, ones most likely to die, and also the quality of your healthcare system. So a better healthcare system will keep you alive longer. Right? So with the CFR of monkeypox, those are experienced in Central and West African nations, which have poor healthcare systems. Like we do here, but who tend to have a younger, stronger population. So there's that balancing act. But the belief is that the CFR as experienced in North America and Europe will be less. Will be less lethal.
I realized I forgot my glasses. That's why you look blurry.
This is unedited, people. We're experiencing the majesty.
Oh, well. I don't see them anywhere. If I had my glasses, I could find my glasses. But anyway, I'll just muddle through. The other question then is, I believe there's a vaccine, right? To monkeypox.
So before we get to the vaccine, more about the fatality rate here is it is more lethal amongst for children.
Oh, it is?
It is, yeah. That's where most of the deaths will occur. That is concerning, of course.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons don't take this disease lightly.
And that's unlike COVID, right? Because COVID seemed to be.
That is the belief that COVID
Yeah.
has a lesser serious rate amongst children,
Mm-hmm.
which is controversial because a lot of people, in my opinion, minimize the impact on children.
Right.
Is it minimize or minimize?
Minimize. You don't need to stick an extra syllable in there. You know.
Do you call them minimalizers or minimizers? People who.
Ooh, that's a good point. I would say minimalizer, but then I would say minimize.
So
I wouldn't say
minimalizers minimize.
a minimizer. Is
So
that like
minimizer,
a very tall person is a very small person who's stingy?
that was the joke I was going to make.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a long setup for a joke that was stolen from you.
Yanked it out from under you, and I flubbed it anyway. So anyway, I'm sure you would have told it better.
Anyway, vaccine.
Vaccine, yeah, vaccine. So I've heard there's a vaccine, but I imagine that we wouldn't want like mass general vaccination, but we'd vaccine certain populations, or
Excellent questions.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The discovery of the smallpox vaccine or the development of the smallpox vaccine was made possible because of observations of variolation with milkmaids and cowpox. So cowpox is the pox of this family that spreads from cows, and milkmaids, or young women who milk cows, were being exposed to cowpox all the time and got cowpox sores, and they were found to be immune to smallpox.
Right.
As a result, this cross immunity idea was born, that if you're can be rendered immune to one of these strains of these animal poxes, and you've got immunity to the other ones. That's true here too. So there is a belief based upon observations in Africa that the smallpox vaccine that we have a lot of experience with renders vaccine effectiveness against monkeypox of about 85%.
85.
85%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is better than the COVID vaccines at the
Right.
moment. Yep. And I believe that is effectiveness against.
There you are.
Whoa, glasses on. Graham is now wearing his glasses.
You look a lot younger now. Actually, that's good.
Very kind. All right.
85% effective, and we just have smallpox vaccine lying around, I suppose, but no one's used it in a while because smallpox has been gone for so long, right?
Yeah, so that's not entirely accurate. We don't have smallpox vaccine lying around. We have a new formulation. The smallpox vaccine that you and I got, because we're old enough to have gotten it, was I believe it was a live virus vaccine,
right?
Which would be horrifying. People are afraid of mRNA vaccines, which are so incredibly safe.
And it left a scar on.
Yeah, these live vaccines with these enormous needles. Like shoving a telephone pole through your arm. That was our youth, people.
Yeah. And no one complained.
No one complained.
I don't think they even told me. They just said, go line up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Roll up your sleeve, boom. Like, what?
So we don't have those anymore. And by the way, you and I probably have some lingering immunity to monkeypox as a result. But so much time has gone by, we probably don't have enough immunity to prevent outright infection.
Right. That's funny. Before COVID came along, I kind of assumed vaccines were sort of a lifetime thing.
Yeah, curious. Huh?
And now I realize they're not. It's not even smallpox. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's unclear. Your immune system has two arms, the humoral arm and the cellular arm. The humoral arm is the one that produces antibodies. Antibodies. That's one you like. So that's the one that prevents initial infection. The cellular arm, the T cells and B cells and so forth, are the ones that once you've been infected, that prevent you from dying.
Right.
So the cellular arm, cellular immunity tends to last longer, maybe lifetime.
Oh, okay.
So
we might still get it, but we're less likely to die.
Much less. The same with the COVID vaccines, by the way. People complain that, the immunity's waned. No, just the humoral immunity is waned. The ability to keep you out of the morgue, extraordinarily good stuff.
Yeah.
So the smallpox vaccine we don't have anymore, but we have a new one. In 2019, FDA approved one made by, I think the company's called Jinmio, which is in a modified, non-replicating smallpox virus.
And what's their stock ticker?
Exactly. I looked into it immediately. Their value did go up. Right. And anyone watching this, buy after I buy. Do not push the price up until after I made a purchase. And there's a second vaccine, I think.
Well, you can release this episode after you've made your
That's true.
purchase. Right?
That's
So-
true. I've got the name of the second vaccine. It's the second one has not been approved for monkeypox, but it should work. And the first one, Jinmyo, is only approved for those 18 and above. But I suspect there'll be some investigation for children, which is concerning. You know,
Right.
I did mention the CFR is higher for children. But yeah, but it's got 85% effectiveness, and it's being used both as a treatment and as a prophylaxis.
Oh, treatment. Okay.
Yeah, so within like 4 days, 4 days or 48 hours, within a couple of days of being exposed to small monkeypox, the vaccine can be used to treat you as well.
So a vaccine can boost your immune system to fight it off even after you've been infected. Oh, okay. Is that true of all vaccines or only? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's good. And we also have treatments. So there are there's at
that's
least
Bella.
Hey Bella, that's Graham's dog just walked by in the background for
Go
audio
see
listeners.
Furry white thing.
There's at least
She's
one
drinking water in the background too, so sorry about that. Yeah.
My dog's here somewhere as well, but he's banned because we have at least one antiviral has been approved for monkeypox. It's called T-Pox is the commercial name. Its sticker price also went up dramatically. And there's a second one that will be approved probably very, very soon. So we have two strong antivirals that can be used. So yeah, there's vaccines and treatments.
Yeah. Okay. More than could be said at the beginning of COVID.
Oh yeah, whole different scenario. And let me say, there are a lot of advantages. This sounds strange. A lot of advantages to monkeypox. What I mean is, if you're going to choose a virus to be your public health threat, I prefer it be monkeypox than SARS-CoV-2.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also because the way that monkeypox infection unfolds in your body, first there's the fever and the sore throat and the cough, and within a few days you get the rash, and the rash is smallpox-like, it's hideous. It's on your hands and face, usually the extremities. And for most people, in 2-3 weeks after that, it goes away on its own. No problem.
Does it leave scarring?
Most people know. A handful, yes, but most people know. However, because it is visible and ugly, people don't want to get it. No one's going to minimize it.
Minimize it.
Minimize it.
Yeah, minimize it.
And we know if you got it. We can see you and stay away.
Right.
Unclean.
Yeah.
And you know if you've had it. So therefore, you probably have immunity if you've had it. So with COVID, it's unclear if you had it already. So having that experience is quite useful.
I had
a lot of advantages.
Sorry. Yeah, I had another question just related to COVID and these sorts of viruses in general. We always talk about long COVID and all these things, but I'm sure COVID is not the only viral infection that has long-term effects.
Yeah.
And so
all viral infections have some extent of post-infection sequelae.
Right. Okay.
It's such an
I love that band. They're amazing. Post-infection sequelae.
Also, Harry Potter villain. Okay, so I think that's our full rundown of monkeypox.
Okay, monkeypox. It sounds like, actually, luckily, it doesn't sound like there's too much to say about it. We should have done one of those things where you tweet out, ask me a question, and we could have.
We still can as this evolves.
But I already noticed it's kind of fallen away from the news. I don't see it.
Right, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It shouldn't really. I think it's good that people are aware of it. It's good that people are concerned about it. We're all been primed to be cognizant of public health threats now. And it's good that it's falling away. I think people are aware now of the true devastating nature of a pandemic. It's not just about people getting sick. It's ideological fracture. It's economic disaster. So we should be interested in avoiding pandemics. I do want to say one more thing about monkeypox and its contagiousness.
Yes.
Everyone is an expert now on epidemiology, things like reproduction number.
That and Ukrainian-Russian relations. Those are the two that
exactly
we have going around right now.
Do you remember what the reproduction number is? Can you define it?
Reproduction number, the R was it R naught? Let's see. Reproduction
R2.
Number. Oh yeah, R2. Thank you. It's the number. It's the number of people that will get the disease from you once you've had it, and how many people you will transmit it to.
Yeah, pretty much. The R is the average number of people that will be produced, average number of cases produced by an existing case
Right.
during the course of that case's infection.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
said.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is what you said. Now, a case is resolved in one of two ways: either
Right,
cured or
right.
you die. So
Okay.
until you stop being infected, how many people you infect? But there's an RT and R naught. The RT is at a given moment, how is that unfolding with mitigation tools in place, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The R naught is how many people you're going to infect in a genuinely naive population.
Right.
And that we use that to compare the infectiousness or the contagiousness of various diseases. So measles has one that's probably around 18, which is
it's very
astounding.
high.
Yeah, astoundingly contagious. Omicron, maybe 8 to 12, which is pretty high still.
That's pretty high, yeah.
Pretty high, yeah. The original COVID, SARS-CoV-2, Wuhan strain, probably 3.
Right, right. I didn't know Omicron was so much more contagious.
I was on the news when Delta was a dominant strain, saying Delta was the most contagious respiratory virus we'd ever seen. Then Omicron came along and blew it out of the water.
Right, right.
So, so smallpox was probably a 3 also. Monkeypox, the best estimate I saw based on modeling was 2.13. So not nearly as contagious as any of the COVID candidates, but is greater than 1, which means it still renders exponential growth.
Yes, yeah. So anything over the 1 is bad news, I would think. I didn't know Omicron was so infectious. So I mean, I knew it was, but I didn't know it was that factor, like from 3 to 8 or 12.
It's crazy, man.
So Appy did get COVID recently, and we assume it was Omicron.
Graham's partner.
Yeah, my partner. And seeing as we're in this small apartment together, we didn't really do any isolation measures, and I kept on testing using antigen home testing, and then I never tested positive, even though she continued to test positive. Can I assume I didn't get it, or can I just?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It sounds weird that I wouldn't get it if it's so contagious.
So are you doubly or triply vaxxed?
I was triply vaxxed at that point.
Okay, so a number of things are happening here. 1, you've got very good immunity from vaccination. 2, you might have been infected in the past and not know it.
Right.
So you might have hybrid immunity, which is the combination of vaccination plus infection. You may have some innate natural immunity. So you may have been infected, but not have carried sufficient viral load to trigger a rapid test. Because rapid tests do not test for the presence of the RNA of the virus, as does a PCR test. A rapid test tests for the presence of the virus itself, based on its antigens. And it will only trigger a positive if there's sufficient viral load in your sample to be a threat to other people.
Right, I see. Okay.
And so maybe you're infected, but at a sub-infectious level.
Right. Okay. Well, we both isolated for the whole time anyway, but
but you lost all your hair, and that's all the side effects we don't talk about enough.
I was like Fabio before that came along, but I didn't. I just thought that was old age. Didn't know that was COVID.
And I'm more like Flavio now, which is unfortunate.
Anyway. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to that, then
people listening to this are thinking, this is why you're on hiatus for 8 months.
That's right.
You got nothing to say.
Which is a good segue to the Facts and the Furious.
Yeah.
Sure lots of people will be waiting for, unless you have something else to add.
I do actually. There was another study that I want to bring to your attention. I shared it on Facebook. I'm not sure if you saw it.
Have you been doing your own research?
I have been doing my own research. It was maybe I can share my screen and show people.
Yeah.
It was a poll by Ipsos Reid. I want you to guess.
Wait, a poem?
A poll, P-O-L-L.
Survey. Oh. I thought like they're doing poems now.
Right. See, off air, Graham is going to actually draft an Ipsos Reid poem.
Ipsos Reid poem, yes.
So this
to
was
be or not to be, check yes or no.
This was a question asking men and women in the UK and USA about how much they think the opposite sex is having sex.
Oh, this is going to be like a Family Feud thing. You can ask me, and then I'll
sneezing.
Survey says, bless you. Do you have the monkeypox?
I might.
You've suddenly turned very
poxy,
pale on the screen. Okay.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. Okay, now you're better. All right.
Okay, so here's the question. If you were to ask men
Right.
in the USA,
In the USA.
yes.
Yeah.
What is the average number of times a man has sex in a month?
In a month.
What would they say?
So men are saying this about other men.
That's right, in the USA.
And sex with anyone of any gender, right?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm assuming it's heterosexual because I'm going to ask what women think as well.
Because if it's heterosexual, that would be different, I think. But
yeah, let's go with heterosexual. I think that's
okay. Let's say in a month, men think that other men are having sex. I'm just going to say 4 times a month, once a week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because that is the actual number of
Right.
times that men have sex in a month. It's 4 times a month. The average man thought that other men were having sex 14 times.
Oh, 14.
Yes.
They got to go to work and stuff too.
And in Great Britain, the average man thought that they're having sex 15 times a month.
Wow. So they all think that the other men are having way more sex than they are. That's basically what it sounds like. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or they want to sound like they think that men have lots of sex, and people infer that they themselves are having lots of sex.
Now, women made the same guess. Essentially, they thought 13, 14, 15 was the number of times that men were having sex. Now, it gets weirder, though, when we ask them about how many times women are having sex. And both the US and the UK guesses were very similar. So no point separating them. So how many times a month, so that's the first one. How many times a month do you think women actually do have sex in the USA and UK?
Wait, this is when they ask men?
No, just the actual number. Like,
oh, you're asking me?
Yes. What do you think the actual number is?
Well, if I guessed that 4 times a month was the real number for men, I'm going to stick with that for women too.
For women, it's actually 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah, they're having more sex than us, which is not surprising given who we are. But the average woman thought that other women were having sex how often per month?
That's a great question. I'm going to split the difference between the actual number and what men thought and say 10.
That's good. 12.
12, okay.
12, yeah. Now here's a big one. How many times a month do you think men think that women have sex?
Oh, right. They are probably thinking it's quite low, I bet. So I'll go back to 4.
Let me sweeten it a bit. This is
I'm way off,
the age group of 18 to 29.
Right.
That's also who's being asked.
Okay. 18 to 29, and this is how often men think women are having sex a month.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been 18 to 29, so I'm trying to get into that mindset. Let's go back to 10 then.
23.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes. So the conclusion, of course, is men have no idea.
The
sexual activities of women, which is not surprising to either one of us. Neither one of us has any idea either.
Okay, this says to me that most men think that most men are having more sex than they are, and that most women are having a ton of sex, and therefore they feel bad about themselves because they're not having as much sex as all these men and women out there that are having sex. So
I think media, I mean, I was growing up, I thought everyone was having sex all the time.
Yeah.
And they were.
How did we get on this topic? Is this the Facts and the Furious?
No, this is how we flirt.
This is how you get monkeypox?
Yeah.
We've established that that's not the only vector.
All right, moving on to our next segment. The Facts and the Furious. This is where Graham and I ask each other science questions to see what our baseline science knowledge is, and it's always very, very poor. So who wants to go first? Want to go back and forth? How do you want to do this?
I'll go first. You just went with this
okay.
Weird irrelevant sex survey. So I'm going to ask you an easy and I'm going to ask you an easy one, given that you're an epidemiologist.
I think you should start with a hard one, given the previous topic.
Okay. All right. 6 generations back, how many great grandparents do you have?
Oh my God, I can't do that math in my head. 6 generations.
6 generations.
6 to the 2, whatever 6 to the 2 is. Not six, 2 to the 6.
Two to the six.
Whatever 2 to the 6 is.
2 to the 6 is.
I gotta ask my
Two-
Google Assistant very fast.
2 times 2 is 4, right? 8, 16,
I could cheat.
32, 64.
Is it really?
Yeah, 64.
Another number? Okay, yeah. So it's 2 to the 6.
Okay,
Yay.
now I'm going to follow up with another epidemiology
Okay.
one. See if you can redeem yourself on this one. Well, it's a statistical population one. Doesn't have anything to do with disease. In a group of 23 people, there's more than a 50% chance that 2 of them share a birthday. I didn't know that, but that seems high to me. With a group of 57 people, what is the probability? So a little over twice as many people.
Yeah, it'd be the same.
No, it says here, well, I haven't verified it. It says 99%.
Oh well, I guessed. Look, my stats students will be watching this saying, "You're an idiot."
Yeah, that's right. You can cut this part out if you want.
No, man.
We'll go straight to you. Ask me a question.
Here's my caveat here. I've been up since 4 a.m. because I have to do radio and PEI, and actually I fell asleep for a scheduled interview like 2 hours ago. I literally fell asleep at my desk and missed it. So
really,
I'm not functioning at full capacity.
You slept straight through the interview.
I did. Have to reschedule it. It was embarrassing.
Oh man.
Yeah, but
That's
I should have
better.
known that. I should have known that to answer that question.
Okay, why don't you ask me one, and then you can recover.
Really, because I look so bad after failing 2 questions. Well, I got easy ones for you.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. First one. Easy one. How many bones are there in the human body?
How many bones are there in the human body?
Yeah.
I think it's over 200.
And your penis does not count as a bone.
No, not always. Let's see. 212.
Well, it's close. I mean, who knows this stuff?
254.
No, 206 is the answer.
206. Oh.
And by the way, some mammals do have a penis bone.
I overbid in both cases.
It's called a baculum.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what animal has a
I think
true
seal.
boner?
A seal has them.
Seal. Okay.
I remember the seal because in my anatomy class in undergrad, we had a bell ringer exam where you open the doors and all these animals are laid in front of you with pins stuck in body parts you have to identify. And there is a seal with a penis bone. And I stared at it for a good 10 minutes like, that's a penis bone. I'll never forget looking at a seal's penis bone.
They should put that on your tombstone.
My tombstone will be made from
penis seal bone. Okay, do you have another one for me?
I do indeed. Okay.
Okay.
So this is part 1 and 2. Humans and chimpanzees share roughly how much DNA?
At least 99%, I think. No, 98.7%.
Oh, it's not bad. 98%.
98, okay.
But men and women share how much DNA?
Huh. Once you get that X and Y chromosome out of there, let's see what's left. I've got to say 98% as well, at least.
Yeah, 98.4%.
Okay.
So there's something I always tell my students is you and I probably have more genetically in common with a male chimpanzee than we do with a female human.
Right. That's fascinating. I like that one.
Lay it on me.
And they're not monkeys.
They're not monkeys.
They're not monkeys. They're apes. Okay, here's one that's topical from the news, tangentially. What was the most expensive film ever made, and how much do you think it cost?
Are we controlling for inflation?
Oh, no. So it didn't say. I'm assuming not. What?
Okay.
Well, let's say it is. And that number is so obscenely large. It probably.
Well, if you're controlling for inflation, I would say it's Gone with the Wind. If you're not controlling for inflation, I'm thinking either Avatar or I'm going with Avatar.
I remember Titanic was really expensive too. Yeah. I didn't do the verification of these facts, so I'm going to say that. But it said
Wikipedia.
It cost $375 million to film this, and it was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Get out.
Yeah, isn't that insane? This is why Johnny Depp is so
and it made what, $20? I mean, the first one was like,
I don't know how much it made, but
maybe it's all 5 of them combined.
It says the most expensive film ever made was Pirates of the Caribbean. Right? Average budget for a big studio movie is 65 million. So anyway, but they ended up making more of them. So. Okay, I've got another one for you. This is my favorite one. I may have told you this already. This is the one I pull out at parties and other places where You know, I want to
Penis bone?
impress people.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm not a seal. What is the color of a strand of polar bear hair?
It's transparent.
Yeah, well, not transparent.
Well, it's glassy.
Translucent.
Translucent.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
You're
It's basically,
transparent. Yeah.
yeah. It's basically colorless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Reflection of light that creates the illusion.
exactly, they're like fiber optics. So what color is the polar bear's skin?
Pink.
No, it's black.
What?
Yeah. So what's happening is the fiber optic hair is pulling the sunlight to the skin, and the blackness of the skin absorbs the heat. But it's still from a distance, the hair looks white, so it gets both the camouflage and the heat absorption at the same time.
That is some intelligent design there.
Yeah, that's really ingenious, actually. I've always thought that was very cool.
Phrase chosen intentionally. Okay. At what temperature are Celsius and Fahrenheit the same?
I know this, -40.
That is correct. That is
because they always bring it up every time it hits -40.
And it's astounding to me that it hits -40 so commonly where I live.
You can tell
Why do I
Canadian.
live in a place where Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same?
Can coincide. Do you know why Celsius and Fahrenheit? Celsius has 0 degrees for freezing and 100 degrees for boiling, which makes complete sense. Do you know why in Fahrenheit it's 32 degrees for freezing, and was it 212 degrees for boiling, or whatever it is?
Because he was a crack addict. Fahrenheit was.
Fahrenheit, he was a British guy. I don't know if he was a crack addict, but apparently the way he did his scale is he tried to get the coldest thing he could think of. So he mixed ice and salt together, and he measured that, and he said that's 0 Fahrenheit, because salted ice is actually cold and freezing, right? And then I think it was his underarm or rectal temperature was 100. So it's like a bucket of salty ice and his armpit are the two ends of the scale. for 0 and 100 in Fahrenheit.
We can mock him, but
yeah,
I don't have a scale named after me.
That's true. All right.
How many vertebrae does the average human possess?
You like these bone questions.
Well, I thought I'd make it easy this time around.
That's okay. I know, because between my is it S5 and L1 vertebrae, that's where I herniated a disc, I believe. So there's at least 5 there, and then the L1s, I don't know, 18.
That's a fair guess. 33.
33?
Yeah.
What are you, some sort of freak?
Yes, that's irrelevant to the question.
I've had half of mine fused because I've had so many herniated discs.
So
I heard about a guy who actually jumped out of a plane and his parachute didn't deploy properly, and he landed on his feet and he survived, but he herniated every single one of his discs.
I can imagine that. Those discs pop, 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 pop. Oh my goodness.
Just the thought of that.
I'd rather die.
Yeah.
Okay, so relatedly, how many teeth does an average human adult have?
Yeah, now you're making me look stupid,
because I have
a full set of teeth and vertebrae.
You can access them in real time.
Here. Yeah. Well, I had bicuspids removed because I had braces in the day when they didn't do the palate widening and stuff. They're like, we need more room in there. Let's just pull out some of those teeth, and they just took them out.
Explains so much about you.
Yeah.
Well, before you answer that question,
I had my wisdom teeth removed.
Explains everything.
Are you counting wisdom?
I
walked right into that one.
I think I am counting wisdom teeth.
God. Let's see. I
don't. That's a good question.
So
before you answer the question,
answer
the question. I mean, the true question actually is the next one, which is, what is the dental formula for the human animal? Here's the science education part of it. Dental scholars compare different animals' dentitions by the dental formula, which is how many teeth you have in a quadrant.
Right.
You've got 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
It's 4 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. The first is the.
Thank you for defining 4.
It's 1 more than 3. 1
more than 3. Yeah. Okay.
So it's number of incisors, number of canines, the number of premolars, and the number of molars. That is your formula. So what is your formula?
3, 4, 5. I only have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, Wow, I'm glad not everyone's watching this.
I
Yeah,
think
so
it includes
I've got like 20 teeth. Are you kidding me?
I think it must include the wisdom teeth.
Okay, so what are we talking about? 26, 24?
So again, your dental formula here, count them in one quadrant, multiply by 4.
Multiply by 4, yeah. So,
you got 5?
Actually, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe that's 6. I've got 24 teeth.
Interesting. Well, the human dental formula is 2123.
2, 1.
Or 8 teeth. So two incisors.
Yeah, 8 in a quadrant.
Canine.
8 in a quadrant.
That's right. Yeah. So 8 times 4.
32 teeth.
32 teeth. Yes.
I'm supposed to have 32. I'm obviously miscounting. Either that, or I've had my teeth fused like my vertebrae. I just have 2 bands of bone and 1 pole at my back. All right. Okay. I did all that to make you feel better about my earlier.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. I've been to this place, and I've seen these formations. What place on Earth has the highest concentration of caves?
Oh, Turkey?
No.
Do you want a country?
No, we're talking smaller. Let's talk about like a state-size region.
So a U.S. state, obviously.
Like that's why a concentration. Yeah, okay, very good.
Colorado.
Now you have a 1 in 50 chance.
Yeah.
No, it's Kentucky.
Oh,
Kentucky.
That's the last state I would have chosen.
Yeah, if you drive through Kentucky, which I would do every year.
You know, I knew. You know why I knew this?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what before I interrupt you.
You knew it before, but you didn't know it. But
yes,
you didn't remember it
because of the pennyroyal.
Oh, okay.
Because of all the tales of paranormal goings on in the cave system of Kentucky.
Right. The Mammoth Caves.
Yeah. Oh, all these tales of strange creatures emerging from the cave system, strange noises and things like that.
And they used to use them as tuberculosis sanitariums as well.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And that was the first time where I went into a cave and experienced absolute darkness, the complete absence of light. Because that's hard. Actually, it's hard to experience the complete absence of light in our normal everyday life. But we went in there and he shut off the lights, and
it's bone chilling, isn't it?
It was kind of scary. Yeah. Like I was holding my hand right in front of my face and not seeing a thing. And then he left us there, and that's why I have therapy to this day. Okay, I'm going to stick with the geography, and this one has a visual aid because I don't think you'll recognize it, but there is an island that's within a lake. Okay, on an island that's within a lake, on an island.
An island within a lake.
On an island. Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead. You repeat it.
No, this is an archipelago, obviously.
Yes.
And it's either going to be somewhere in Indonesia.
That's a really good guess.
Or the Philippines.
It's the Philippines.
Yeah.
Excellent guess. Although apparently there might be one in Nunavut, but I didn't have a chance to verify that one. So here I'm going to share my screen. For those that are home, those that are listening, I've pulled up Google Earth. Oh. So this is the island here, Vulcan Point. And it's in this crater lake on Taal volcano in the Philippines. And then that is an island that's inside Taal Lake, which is on the archipelago island of, I think, Luzon in the Philippines.
Cool.
Zoom back in. So I thought that was kind of cool. The closest we get to something that's sort of interesting geographically in Ontario is Lake on a Mountain. Have you ever been to Lake on a Mountain?
I've not heard of Lake on a Mountain.
Yeah, I think it's near Prince Edward County. And you are on the road and you can look down and see which lake it would be, Lake Ontario, I guess, I suppose, down below. And then on the other side, there's another lake elevated very high up. So there's like an elevation difference of, I don't know how many feet, but it's actually kind of interesting. I made it sound very boring, but
yeah, you did kind
of. Apparently I can't operate Google Maps and talk at the same time. How did you get in this little box, Ray? Wait, are you back there? Okay. I'm having problems with technology. Okay.
All right. What is the name What is the name of the
You know,
tallest grass?
most of the people have shut off by now. That we're just doing this for ourselves. But anyway,
We do every episode for ourselves because up to now we had no audience.
Okay, what is the tallest what now?
Grass on Earth.
The tallest grass?
Species of
It's
grass.
probably bamboo.
Yes, good job.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I'm an Asian studies expert, so I gotta know that. I'm growing some bamboo, 2 types of bamboo in my backyard, but it's not very tall.
You're literally watching grass grow.
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what is grass though?
It's thrilling, actually.
What is the definition of grass?
Oh, that's a great question. I know it must be a rhizome, right? No, I don't know what the definition is.
Well, the only competent definition I found was a green plant with jointed stems,
Okay.
long slender leaves, and stalks of clustered flowers.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
I think I may have asked you this question before, but let me try it again. What is the nearest planet to Earth? It's a trick question.
Oh, the nearest planet to Earth. Okay, yeah, you probably did ask me this question before. And I know the moon is not considered a planet, so that's not right. That's a planetoid. So I'm just gonna do the easy one and say Mars.
The answer is wrong.
Yeah, I know it's wrong, but I can't. Is there something at a certain point where?
It's a trick question, like I said.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to get it. Put me out of my misery.
The answer is Mercury.
Mercury. Okay.
And here's another caveat before I explain why that is.
Why would
the nearest planet to Uranus is also Mercury. And the nearest planet to Jupiter is also Mercury. Here's the reason: is when we are measuring the distance between planets, are we measuring the distance at the nearest point, at the furthest point, or an average of where that planet is during the course of its year?
Wait, so at some point, Mercury is not actually closer than Venus to Earth.
So think about where these planets are.
But on average, because of their elliptical
That's exactly right. So they all orbit the sun. So at some, let me explain this for the people watching who knows quack as you are. So sometimes these planets are closer to us when they're all on the same side of the sun. Sometimes they're further from us when we're on opposite sides of the sun. But because Mercury is the closest to the sun, its relative distance when it's on this side versus that side of the sun is small versus say Jupiter, which is enormously
way out there.
Okay. So when it's on the far side of the sun from us, it's really, really far. So on average, the average distance between us and Mercury is shorter than the average distance between us and Venus. And the average distance between Mercury and anything else is shorter than the average distance between anything else and anything else.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But like in a sort of common sense way, you'd be thinking of just lining them up all at the same point in the orbit measure. That's why it's a trick.
Yeah. As an aside, by the way, you know, you can put, you could line up, if it's physically possible, which it isn't, all of the known planets between the Earth and the Moon. They all fit.
Right.
Is that crazy? They all fit.
Yeah, they're not that big. This is actually very topical, good segue into my final question for you.
Oh, all right.
Which is wider, Australia or the moon? So the diameter of the moon or the width of Australia at its widest point?
Because it's a trick question, I would say obviously Australia.
Right. How much wider do you think it is?
Yay wider?
A little bit more.
I would say maybe 40% wider.
It's only 600 kilometers wider. So the moon is around 3,400 kilometers and Australia is around 4,000.
We're talking diameter?
The diameter of the moon, yes.
Okay, interesting.
So the moon, you could set the moon down in Australia and still have 300 kilometers on either side to spare.
Okay. A few more questions for you.
Oh man, I thought this was over.
No, sir.
I've counted my teeth and my vertebrae. What else do you want from me?
An egg's shell is what percentage of the egg's weight? Chicken egg.
An egg's shell. I imagine that's going to be a very small percentage. So I'm just going to pick 1%.
It's 12% actually.
12?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll skip the next boring questions. Like right to the good stuff.
Because when you do like those Easter eggs where you blow the egg out, you suck the egg out or whatever you do to the eggs.
I fertilize the eggs, Graham. Fertilize them.
After you're finished blowing and sucking with the eggs,
And
then
fertilizing it.
and you just have the shell left over, it's incredibly light. I thought 12%.
Well, hey, you know what? Maybe Google's lying to me. All things are possible.
Well, at least
All
you
right.
actually verified yours. I just
My final question is an educational question, as opposed to the previous ones, which are nonsense. What is the current geological era in which we are in?
Oh, that's the Neonandozaic era.
This is true, but
Yeah.
that's not quite recognized fully yet.
Okay.
It will be soon.
It will be at some point. The Anthropogene.
You know, that was going to be my follow-up. The Anthropocene is
Anthropocene, thank you.
Is not officially recognized, but even if it were, it's an epoch, not an era. So
Not
an
an
epoch
era.
is a subunit of eras.
The eras are much bigger.
Eras are bigger. Like, for example, the era we're in
Or
right
longer.
now. Yeah, the era we're in right now contains the Paleocene and the Eocene.
Right. All the scenes.
All the scenes.
The whole scene is there.
So the Anthropocene, if people don't know, is this theoretical epoch that describes the recent period in Earth's history when human activity has changed things. And some people say that started when the atomic bomb was first detonated. But this is not officially recognized yet.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, the previous era was the Mesozoic. Before that was the Paleozoic.
Paleozoic, yeah.
We are in the Cenozoic.
Cenozoic. Yeah, and I would never have guessed that.
Me either. Sounds like one of the dudes from Hellraiser. Cenobites.
The Cenocene. All right.
Well, those are all the questions, ladies and gentlemen.
This show now feels like as long as the Cenozoic era. Wait. That
out of
actually,
practice.
When will the Cenozoic era end? How do we know when it ends? Who calls the end of an era?
I think the referee does.
Okay. You're going to call the end of this episode? Yeah. You can think about that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Graham.
It's been a pleasure, actually. I miss doing this, so I'm glad you initiated it.
So if we have any listeners out there, feel free to contact us at sciencemonkey.ca or on our Twitter account, which is sciencemonkey.ca. We're happy to have another episode where we answer your questions or not.
Yeah. And we don't have to wait for another, plague of some sort to have another episode.
All right. Signing off.